Hi, everybody. I'm Christa Haberstock, founder and CEO of C Agency, a 27-year so far veteran of the speaking industry, and I just published a book called Become a Bookable Speaker. Very proud of it, and it is my love letter to speakers in the speaking industry. I am excited about getting this content into the industry that I love so much, and I am here to talk to Phil about it.
And what's the best advice you ever got?
Oh, the best advice I ever got? Well, conveniently, it is don't ignore the obvious, which my whole obvious advantage is based around. It's been fundamental in helping speakers find what their quote unquote superpower is, their obvious advantage, and it sets them apart from all the other speakers, the hundreds of other speakers that are jockeying for position at the top of that list for bureaus and meeting planners.
Ooh, don't ignore the obvious. So how do we find the obvious, though? Because it's obvious to you, maybe, but it might not be obvious to me. So how do we find that obvious, Christa?
What I have found for myself has worked the best with speakers is in a conversation with them. My first question is always, why do you speak on the topic that you speak on? And that is always very telling. It's important to know that your message is wrapped with your mission. And if there's an incongruency with your message being wrapped with your mission, then there's an inauthenticity there that comes out on stage. And once you find your obvious advantage, that's what comes through on stage. So it's a simple exercise. It is by no means easy. It is simple. So I urge speakers to look at themselves, look at everything about them, their brand, their experience, who they are, what they do, find what they are the first at, the most at, the only, and the best. So first, most, only, best. And that turns into an existential crisis pretty quick. So I've called it speaker therapy for years.
That's so funny. Well, that is hard stuff. I mean, as I think about that for me, That's very hard. So that would take some time to even come up with. So when did you first come up with this? Because obviously the book is the culmination. The book is not like the first time you've talked about this.
No, not at all. And in fact, the funny thing, Phil, is that this book is me looking at myself and saying, don't ignore the obvious. Like, what are you the first? What are you the most? What are you the only? What are you the best at? And after 27 years, I have all of this experience. I'm a musician, I'm a singer, and I love singing. And forever I've called myself a musician. Of course, you do that. That's your identifier. I was an elementary music teacher, grew up in Canada. So I tell people I'm a teacher. I still tell people I'm Canadian, of course. But when you do something for 27 years, day in, day out, you eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's my obvious advantage, to bring something different to the table for people who want to see life just through a different lens. I don't feel like I'm more evolved or I'm smarter than anybody, but the lens that I bring to the table, as far as what I'm able to share in the book, or, if I'm speaking to anybody, just even in conversation or when I'm talking to speakers about their brand, I'm able to see it through the lens of the buyer and the person who's also trying to sell this speaker, being the speaker. Like, I was with a speakers bureau for 10 years. So the person who's trying to sell this speaker, I can hear their voice in my head when I'm talking to a speaker. That's my obvious advantage. When I'm talking to a speaker who is like the former president of a marquee brand, right? And they call themselves a leadership speaker. I go, what? No. Like, people speak on leadership. There are plenty of leaders out there. That's your content. You aren't your content as a speaker. You are the culmination of your experiences. And what's interesting to me, the obvious advantage of, say, like the former president of a marquee brand is, what was it like leading explosive growth, going from 200 employees to 1,000 employees in under a year? What was that like, walking through your building going, oh, we ran out of space. We forgot to get more space for 1,000 employees. Like, those are just stories. Like, from last week, I had a conversation with someone and it was so fascinating. I said, that's your obvious advantage, is seeing an organization through your eyes that went through that. So that, that's, I don't know if I answered your question, but that is just a recent, closest shark to the boat, as they say.
Yeah, I think it did. And I would ask, though, as a follow-up to that, though, so you talk about the brand. Mm-hmm. So the brand is not leadership speaker.
No.
The brand is what?
The brand is your obvious advantage. So that's what speakers, I think, man, speakers miss this so much. I'm so glad we're talking about this. I hope this reaches every speaker in the world. You are not your content. You are not your content. You are not a leadership speaker. One of my favorite, and I'll call him out because I've told him this story too, but Mark Sanborn, I was at an NSA event probably 15 years ago with my speaker, Doc Henley. I talk about him a lot, of course, because we've been together since 2009. And I brought him from like just humble, 2009 CNN hero, and he's still humble, but, he's no name to Hall of Fame. So as far as speakers, anyway, I dragged him to an NSA event. And Doc Henley is not the kind of guy that would really hang around an NSA event because first and foremost, he's a clean water crusader. He's a tattooed Harley riding bartender from North Carolina with a communications degree in a tip jar. The man does not need to go to National Speakers Association. That's where I go to help him with his speaking engagements. But I had him do like a breakout session, talk about the water crisis. People were moved. We went to the happy hour later, and Mark Sanborn was there. There was a whole bunch of people. Passing Zone was there. I just remember lots of people. So I'm introducing him around to my friends, and Mark says, well, hey, Doc, nice to meet you. What do you speak on? And he said, I speak on Tuesday. I went, oh, God. He is mostly an inspirational speaker who talks about, this and that and the other thing. And the man was like, what do I speak on? What do you mean? Like, because there's so many speakers that think that your identity is wrapped up in your content. And that's where authenticity goes to die, is when you think you're your content.
Wow. So you suggest then, I guess, that they just kind of own their name and then their stories, right?
Yes. Now, that's a fine line. So let me just say, I have speakers come to me a lot. Like this is and you meet these people all the time too. I'm not unique here, but so a speaker will come to you and say, I have a story that needs to be shared. I'm sure you've heard this. It's like, how did you get into this industry, Phil? And I want to be like you, and I want to speak on big stages, and I want to tell my story. So the dream killer in Christa says, well, nobody cares about your story. But listen, I say it nicer than that. I get to the point like a little down the road. But the point is that the story is the vehicle to get the message into people. So you have to be person first, humanize yourself, right? And then you tell the story, but the story is only the vehicle for what you've learned. So if you are, let's just go back to the CEO of a marquee brand. If you led them through explosive growth, your story is leading them through explosive growth, and then what you learn from it. Your story isn't that you're an expert on innovative leadership. It's someone's out there going, what? No, wait, but I am an innovation speaker. Well, of course. I mean, like if you have to put a fine point on it, sure. But first and foremost, you're the former president of XYZ brand, led to explosive growth, innovation and leadership speaker, or whatever it is. But don't put the content first. And just while we're on the topic, you don't need to put speaker in there. Like if you're an expert on speaking, I mean, it's kind of implied by the fact that you're on stage holding the microphone. So that's valuable real estate you're eating up with speaker.
Oh, so interesting. So, well, the book is fantastic. There's a lot of stuff we're going to talk about today. I love that we started with the brand though, because I think that's where a lot of folks go sideways pretty quick. So with that, let's talk about some of the bigger mistakes that speakers make. Sure. You talked about the fact that they lead with speaker as opposed to leading with their obvious advantage.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. That they lead with that. So what else? What else are some big mistakes that you see speakers make?
Gosh, like I'll just start from what's on the top of my head, because there are a lot of don'ts and there's a lot of do's, right? And so that's honestly, I had to get it all out of my head and put it down on paper. Like at the end, I didn't even care if anyone bought it. I was like, it's there. Just if you want it, go get it, because it's all there. But a lot of the don'ts, off the top of my head, I had So I'm going to actually back into this because it's a pretty good story. So I got into the speaking industry, and Phil, you just learned this, but I got into the speaking industry through my brother, Vince Pacenti, who is a Hall of Fame speaker in 2 countries, New York Times bestseller, Wall Street Journal bestseller, Olympic athlete in 1992 Winter Olympics. So I was actually at those Olympics as his little sister and saw him compete. And he came 15th in the Olympic Games. And there's not, his plan was go to the Olympics, win the Olympics, and then you become a high paid speaker. Well, you go to the Olympics, you lose the Olympics. The phone doesn't necessarily ring. So I learned all this later when I completely fell backwards into this industry through the door that he and his wife, Michelle, opened into a speakers bureau. And I landed in the speakers bureau and had no idea what I was doing. So I had to get very creative on how to sell speakers, 100% commission. I didn't know what a speaker was, didn't know what they did. I didn't know what an event planner was, didn't know American Icons. I just moved from Canada. And so I guess I just got creative because I would get a request. Let's say you get a lead from an event planner saying we need a team building speaker or a teamwork speaker or something in XYZ range. And they really wouldn't give me too many parameters on it. And so I would think to myself, well, I really like this guy that just came into the office, but I don't know how much his stuff or her stuff actually compares with the event planner. So I would take their stuff, rebrand it, and like reverse engineer it into the event planner stuff. And I would do that for 5 or 6 speakers until I found one that hit. And then I would make the booking. And it worked. I mean, I was top producer 8 of my 10 years there. And I spent those 10 years reconfiguring every speaker's brand I touched. And it was topics, it was bio, it was headshot, it was pre almost internet, guys. Like, I mean, not even pre AI GPT where you could dump stuff in and it spits it out. Like, it was all up here. So I saw so many mistakes, like over and over and over. One that's actually, I referenced it. So funny. I was talking to a speaker last week and he wants to get into speaking. And he said, I got some headshots done. Well, he sends me the headshots. What I had mentioned specifically in the book is I would take their headshot. And if it was backlit holding a microphone, I would find something of a shot of them in their natural habitat looking like a boss. Well, this guy sends me headshots of him backlit holding a microphone. I was like, oh God, you're page 3. I took a picture. I'm like, I need to send you my book. And I am, of course. But I mean, there's so many. So there's just the little things that you don't know until you don't know what you don't know. Too many topics. That's a huge one. Being all things to all people. That's another huge one. Confusing your brand on social media. That's a huge one. I mean, being an advocate for everything, like pick a lane. This is actually maybe the biggest one. Now I'm thinking of it. When your brand and your fee do not match. So there is let's just say there's just a speaker. I'm just going to go back to this one, the president of a marquee brand. Okay. They can easily command, and this is a woman, by the way. So female leadership speaker, head of a former head of a marquee brand. We're talking 25, 30 for this woman, right?
Yep.
The brand, arguably 5 to 7,500, 5,000 to 7,500. And when you see that incongruency, what do you think, Phil? Go ahead. What do you think when you see that?
Well, first of all, they probably never have spoken before.
Right.
They probably are just getting started, and maybe that experience, maybe they got forced out.
That's funny. I hadn't even gone that far. All of the bad stuff. Nothing good.
Yeah, nothing good. Yeah, because it doesn't match. I mean, the story's good, but perhaps, those are the things I think about.
Right. And come to find out, this person is, amazing on stage. Like really, really good. And just delightful. I mean, really, really solid. And so that to me is like, it's something I want to fix. It's like seeing a puppy running in the street. You're like, what? Like, no, stop. You're hurting yourself. Do not promote yourself anywhere. That's another one. Gosh. So Anyway, fix the brand, you can raise your fee. The other one is launching too early. Oh, is that even bigger than the fee and brand one? It might be. Allison Levine is exhibit A of doing this right. So when I was still at the Bureau, she actually was, I booked her a lot when she first kind of started out. I don't want to say started out, but she took an entire year to put her brand together, her video, everything, to come out swinging to make sure that her fee matched her brand, matched her story, matched her level, everything. And she came out with a congruent brand, easy booking. Like we all at the Bureau just booked her. And then she went exclusive with Kepler Speakers Bureau. Great get for them. And I knew that she had done that. I just think it was the smartest thing a speaker can do is make your brand pristine and then make speakers bureaus and event planners say, how have we not heard of this person? That's the reaction you want.
So what's in that brand, Christa? Let's go back there. What's in that? You said it took her a year. You said video, website, talk. What all goes into the brand?
Yeah, there's the big buckets. Yeah, like you said, the video, the website, and there will be people listening to this that have questions about video. That's shifting sands, and it's almost different. Like you ask 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different answers. So I'm just going to leave that. Website, I believe, can be incredibly simple and straightforward. I think anybody who dumps tens of thousands of dollars into a website is a little bit nuts, but that's just me. I don't think it has to be fancy schmancy. I think it's your online front door. That's all. Just make sure it has everything they need. What is critical is that everything matches in quality. Okay, so if your video doesn't match, your website's quality doesn't match, your social media presence. If your pictures look homegrown on your iPhone, if your headshots look homegrown on your iPhone, you cheaped out. It's a subconscious static, right? Because the meeting planner or the bureau is going to be like, well, maybe they haven't been speaking that long, or maybe they're going to, maybe they don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Like there's an unprofessionalism to it. So professional, clean. Okay, so I'm going to answer your question. Buckets: video, website, headshots. There's a few bios you need: the 100-word, 250, 350. There's the byline, which is where you probably would highlight your first, most, only, best. And you probably won't get all four, by the way. So it like the first so-and-so to do whatever. That's what you would lead with. And then I like this new one too, the big promise statement. I help blank. How is that?
I help blank get blank by blank or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like basically addressing, I help teams and leaders find their obvious advantage so they can grow in purpose and passion for their job.
That's the outcome. Yeah, the last one's the outcome. That's right.
The outcome. Yeah, so that's a really important bit too. And making sure your fees match. That's a bucket too. What am I missing? Topics. 2-3 topics is tops. Listen, let's just be real. Like if you're a speaker and you're listening to this, or anybody who's ever booked a speaker, in my opinion, the topics are kind of just the wrapping paper around the speaker. Because what you're getting from them is who they are, what they bring to the event, and why. And so if you have topics that is like, here's my speech, and I think a lot of speakers do that. They'll say, here's my speech, I'm ready to launch it. Well, that speech can change. And it can change on site. They can say, oh, we had 45 minutes. We now have 12. Go. Like we both know that is a very real, clear and present danger.
Yep.
And you have to, okay, I'm good. And if you have a 45-minute speech, you're a deer in the headlights. So your topic has to just be who you are, what you can bring to an audience, and serve their needs. Because if you're upset because you didn't get to deliver all your content, then what? The event is for you, not for that audience. The event has to be for that audience, not for the speaker.
Yeah, you clearly you talk about that in the book about how to be easy to work with and all of that, and who the focus should always be on, and that's the audience. So give me some examples, some more examples of being easy to work with. That whole 45 to 12 is a big one, right? If you're if you think that you have to deliver your 45 minutes of content and you can't shave it down to 12, you're in trouble. What are some other big ones?
Believing that the standing ovation is not for the planner who booked you, but for the speaker. I think if you're the speaker and you think that that standing ovation's for you, you've lost the battle, because it is that planner who booked you that put her neck on the line for someone she just met. Maybe she had a pre-call. So that standing ovation is for them that did a good job. So when you focus as a speaker, when you look at that, everything from that lens, you look at that everything through the lens of service to the audience, everything goes right. I say that, and I'm going to just toss the materials thing in here just as a side note. Your brand and your materials are conducting a job interview for you, the speaker, that you are not allowed to attend. So the event planner gets your materials, looks at your website, looks at your video, reads your testimonials. That's another bucket. Missed that one. It's important. Topics. The call doesn't come to you, the speaker, or me, the manager, until it's pretty much fully baked. And they're asking for fee and availability at that point. And so gone are the days of me getting to really sell a speaker, because it's the materials that are selling them. And the materials have to show the event planner that you're in service to them. So when they hire you, the speaker, for a job, you are hired by them, the hiring organization. You work for them. And if you get that flipped upside down, that's when everything goes sideways. So that means that you get to the hotel whenever you want, and it's nobody's business when you get there. Well, it is. It's the event planner's business to get a text when you get there. It's important to let them know you're on your way. Your flight's on time. I'm on my text. Just text. I mean, don't call them, for God's sake. They are simultaneously working a walkie-talkie and a tape gun. Like, we don't need a phone call on top of that. So you just text them. I'm here. I'm tucked in. See you tomorrow morning at 8:30 for the AV check. Anything I should know? Nope. So over communicate. Don't ask, like, have everything squared away before the conference call that is usually 1 month prior to the event. So you have your conference call with the event planner a month prior to the event. And I actually owe this little nugget to Dia Star Rank with the Speaker Exchange Agency, because she said, I like to have everything tied up with a bow that at that conference call, and we don't contact them again, because the event planner has their hands full. They don't need our little, hey, can I bring a video crew? Hey, can I bring a friend to this event? Hey, is it okay? You know, they don't need our nonsense. So that, I think that's an important one. There's not enough time in the day to go over all of them. That's just to give you a sampling.
Yeah. Well, lots of them though are in the book. Are in the book, and I think that's so important, right? I would actually encourage folks, just pick up the book, pick a chapter, and go deep. Go after your own material. Go after your own stuff. With that, there's so much here. Let's talk a little bit more about exceeding expectations here,
okay,
because I think that one is probably the one that I think is the most approachable for the most amount of speakers, with honestly the least amount of effort. They just have to be exceptional.
Yeah.
Right. So tell me, what does it mean to exceed an expectation for folks? What is an expectation, first of all, that we have, that folks are hearing? Because I like the whole texting a speaker. I still don't hear a lot of speakers that actually do that.
Yeah,
So
when they land. Yeah. So it is the whole basic premise, and it's really second nature to me now. I think it always has been a little bit, but it's, again, being of service to the event planner. So if you consider the event planner before you consider yourself, you're winning already. So for example, you want to bring books for sale after the event. When should that actually be addressed? That should be addressed on the very first initial, like, negotiation call. Like, if they're looking for a bit of reduced fees, say, how would you feel about this? And the attendees, I'd love to do a meet and greet after. Well, and it's so funny to me how surprised event planners are, or anybody booking a speaker, when I say, well, like Carly, well, any of my speakers, actually, they like to stay after and meet everybody. So, Carly would like to stay after and share her Olympic gold medals after the event. Would that be okay? And they're like, oh my gosh, she's going to bring her medals. I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't she? Like, people love that, right? So it's so easy. Heather, same way, she brings her medals with her. So that's exceeding expectations without lifting a finger. Just bring the medals with you. Make books available. Like throw in a dozen books for the sponsor and their staff, or for the VIPs or whatever, and sign them and personalize them. What you think? Oh, like people love that stuff because they feel special. Customize your presentation. Do we have to have this conversation? Customize your presentation. Customize your presentation. Like, make sure that you know that they know that you know that they know that you know that they know where you are speaking for them. All right. And that comes with the pre-call. For speakers, can you hear me getting all wound up? For speakers,
I hear you getting excited, which is what I love to hear.
Well,
keep going.
It's so fun to actually exceed their expectations on the phone when I get to talk to them for my speakers, because I say, and all of my speakers will do this. They're obviously, I've coached them for years to do this, but they all realize how easy and valuable it is, so they're more than happy. But Bean will do. I was talking to, I shouldn't name the marquee brand. This is a big brand. It's hard not to mention it. But anyway, a big car brand where my speaker is speaking next month. And I said, I know it's probably going to be hard to get your people from another state to come in last minute because they're booking it last minute. I said, what if she did a little hype video saying, I can't wait to meet you at your event? Well, you would think that the guy won a lottery. And wow. I just said, that is a 10-minute ask of my speaker. She's more than happy to do that and send them the hype video. I mean, if you can, the biggest thing for event planners right now, I looked it up this morning, 84% of event planners prioritize audience engagement. So that means prior to the event, doesn't it? That means like excited to meet you, excited to see you, not excited to present at your event. Like this is where I get a little frothy, a little passionate. Well, it's the speakers love to make it about themselves, and that's where things go off the rail. Like that's where I said authenticity. It's where authenticity goes to die.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
It's too much, isn't it?
It is, but it's just enough. And that's the thing about the book, is there's just enough in there. So what's one other thing, Christa, that you want to make sure that gets out? If you're like, I want to shout this from the rooftops, what is the one other thing that I didn't ask you that we should be talking about?
Well, my favorite quote was, don't ignore the obvious. And I'm going to bookend it with Steve Martin's quote, be so good they can't ignore you. The number one question I get asked from speakers is, how do I take my business to the next level? And also that always involves, how do I get in with the speakers bureau or a speaker manager? I am a speaker manager, by the way. And just some stats. I don't know if you caught this, Phil, when you were reading the book, but it actually, did you notice that I think it was 81% of my LinkedIn messages they start with the words, I am a.
Yeah, I saw that. That's incredible.
Blah. So it wasn't about me, for one thing. Second of all, they all think that I'm a speakers bureau. I'm not. There's a difference between speaker managers and speakers bureaus. So there is persistence, and there is the spray and pray marketing. Actually, I didn't put this in the book because I know it's weird and I'm goofy sometimes, but I call it excessive assertive tenacity. When speakers, like, there's nobody who's more assertive and have the tenacity as motivational speakers. So I call it excessive assertive tenacity. It's not going to make it into Urban Dictionary, I don't think.
No.
So really, Steve Martin said, like, in response to someone asking him, how do I become a success in the entertainment industry? Be so good they can't ignore you. Work on your craft, work on your materials, work on your brand, be consistent, and be so good they cannot ignore you.
Wow, that's great advice. So friends, if you want to get a copy of the book, I'd encourage you to do so. It's on Amazon. It hit #1 in a couple categories, I know, and it is awesome. It's called Become a Bookable Speaker. Christa Haberstock is my friend here that shared. You can go to ChristaHaberstock.com. That's HABERSTOCK.com. Christa Haberstock with the C. You can check it out. Christa, where would your favorite place to be if somebody actually wanted to talk to you? Where would that be? Or would you like them not to talk to you ever again?
Oh, well, if everybody reads my book, I'm happy to talk to them. No, and I say that you don't even have to buy it. Like, you read a friend's book. I just want so badly for speakers to learn what's in there before you come to me asking for advice, because everything I know is in that book. So that's maybe my silly way of saying, like, just careful when you reach out. Be ready when you reach out to anybody, me or anybody else. It's just like that what I told you before. However, I feel like my best platform is LinkedIn. I have a ton of connections on there. That's how, Phil, you and I got reconnected, and I loved it when you reached out. So yeah, I would say LinkedIn is probably the platform.
Cool. Great stuff. Christa, as always, it's great to spend some time with you. Congratulations on a wonderful book. Get the damn book. Spend the $25, get a copy of the book, and then get to work. There's a lot of stuff in here. I am not telling you that I am squared away in all of these either. I'm telling you this is a lot of work, but it's a lot of work and hopefully a labor of love for those of you that are doing this, if you're congruent, as Christa mentioned before. Christa, thanks so much, my friend. This was awesome.
This is so awesome. Thanks for doing